Sometimes, very rarely, you come across a genuinely big idea, an idea that stops you in your tracks, an idea to make or do something wildly groundbreaking and completely novel, perhaps even an idea that can change the world. This is not a book about big ideas like that. In truth, there are few big transformative ideas to be found. Most ideas, even the ones that do go on to change the world, are variations on previously explored themes. Take Uber, which started out as an idea for a limo service that showed where your car was on a map, which itself was inspired by a device Daniel Craig's James Bond used in the film Casino Royale. Or take the idea to make gin. It's hardly new. To make gin is simply to follow in the footsteps of Dutch Hennever makers from the 1600s and British gin barons from the 1700s. More on the history of gin in Chapter 3. So this is not a book about big ideas. Instead, it's about small ideas. The small ideas that together can help grow a business and a brand. We'll touch on that distinction later too. The small ideas that result from countless daily acts and decisions. So really, this is a book about decisions. As you get older, you realize there are so many truths no one tells you when you're younger, like how much of parenting is actually logistics, or in this case, how much of the founding and leading of a business is just the seemingly endless task of making decisions and living with the decisions you make. No wonder I felt so exhausted after the 3 COVID-affected years of 2020, 2021, and 2022. We'd made so many rapid decisions on the fly and against a backdrop of such uncertainty and constant change. It wasn't the school at home that exhausted me, it was the decision-making at work. Starting a business is merely a decision. One decision that leads to many others. Each of those decisions amounts to a small idea. Even the decision to not do something is, itself, a small idea with consequences and impact. Get enough of these small ideas right, execute enough of them brilliantly, and you might be onto something. This is the truth of most businesses. There are no shortcuts. No magic bullets, no game-changing big ideas, just decisions, choices, priorities, compromises, mistakes, hustle, and execution. But I'm already jumping ahead because we haven't got to the first decision yet. The decision to make gin wasn't mine. It was Stu's and Cam's. Cam is an Olympian, both literally and figuratively. Literally because he dragged his body around a running track fast enough to make Australia's 400-metre relay team in Atlanta in 1996. He made the semis, if you're wondering, and in some very questionable running shorts. Figuratively, because he has a capacity for determination, execution, and excellence that puts him in the top 3 people I would take into any battle with me. He also happens to be wildly creative, have an extraordinary palate, and is one of the funniest, most engaging people I've ever spent time with. Yep, in short, if you were designing the perfect co-founder and distiller for a craft gin business, you'd end up with Cameron Mackenzie. And then there's Stuart. If generosity was an Olympic discipline, Stu would doubtless be an Olympian too. Like Cam, he's genuinely hilarious. Like Cam, he has an extraordinary palate. And like Cam, he'd spent decades in the Australian booze industry. Unlike Cam, Stu had gone on to build one of Australia's great communications agencies, specialising in the food and drink space. So Stu knew people, he knew business, and he knew stuff. Between the two of them, we had the raw material to do something special in gin. In the past, Stu and Cam had decided to make wine together twice, buy stakes in racehorses together too often, and not work in the same office together again. And now here they were making a new decision, to make gin together. But this decision was different. It came with a caveat. This time they would get a third partner involved. Me.